Hey y'all, welcome to today's video. Today we are talking about word problems, story problems, whatever you want to call them, problems, word, story problems. Um, in this video, we are going to strictly be talking about these story problems with multiplication, since that is the journey we are on right now. So that's one thing to take out. There are some other videos that are posted around, like how to get through word problems when you don't know what operation you're using. Highly recommend that watch. But today we're going to dive into these. We have three story problems or word problems, whatever you want to call them. I don't even know. Yeah, that we'll explore a couple things. One, thinking about the four elements that are pushed in our word problems, right? Making sure, again, let's see, I'll put this on the bottom, making sure that we have a model, and then we have an equation. I'm going to put those in different colors because remember, those are the things we do before we even do the math. And then we have some sort of work or solution is really kind of the cool word I like to use. And then we have a labeled, wow, that says labeled, I promise. Answer. Wow, and that says answer, I promise. Horrible handwriting. I apologize. I think what did anyway, we have an anchor chart that talks about this, but I can't even think about it. It's hard for me to see because the chairs are stacked. So MESLA. Oh yeah, that's right. So model, equation, solution, labeled answer. And I think we've kind of been talking about that as a joke, right? Make sure you mesla. Anyway, sorry, we haven't even started to do math. So we're gonna do these four things today with these story problems or word problems and make sense of, like, to remember, to do them. Two of them are no extra work whatsoever and are very beneficial to your learning. And the other two is the work you're already doing. And remember, some of you are losing credit in your awesome work because you're not doing, especially this last one, a labeled answer. And I'm hard on you about that one. So let's dive into the Erie Shoe Factory. These word problems and story problems are so riveting. I did not make them up. My brain couldn't handle that, so I just grabbed some from some work. So full disclosure, this is not my own thinking. I'm not all about the Erie Shoe Factory, but as we can see today, so we have the Erie Shoe Factory, and they make 245 pairs of shoes every day. The Columbus Shoe Factory, because there's shoe drama, they're battling each other. They make 34 times as many pairs of shoes in a day. So what they're asking us to figure out is, well, then how many pairs of shoes does the Columbus factory make in a day? Ooh, so important. All right, so let's unpack this and think. So step one, model, right? Let's do this. Step one. Remember, like I said, there's no math involved. I'm actually just drawing a picture of what I'm going to do. We don't have an answer. The answer is we want to know how many pairs of shoes Columbus factory makes in a day. So that would be our total, which we don't know. And remember, in your bar model, the total is that top part. And I'm going to use the variable S for shoes. Now, in order to get this whole part, right, from here to here, the entire number line, I'm going to need to think about what parts get me there. Well, the parts that get me there are 245 shoes, because that's from the Erie Shoe Factory, and 34 times as many, right? And one thing you all are seeing me do now with these bar models with multiplication is I'm just putting my operation right here in between the numbers. So what I'm saying is, here's my model, and I already know the math I'm doing. I'm going to take 245. I'm going to multiply it by 34, and that's going to give me my answer. So that's my model. Check. The next thing I want to make sure I do is that equation. Now, the equation comes straight from your model. That's the other cool thing, is that this model, I just translate to my equation, right? Just what I said, 245 times 34 equals S for shoes. That's an equation. That's it. There seems to be this weird misconception that an equation means you're doing a bunch of work. You're not doing a bunch of work. You're just writing down the sentence of what you're going to do. So there's the equation. Check. So I've done a model, I've done an equation. Now I'm going to do the work. Where? That's a great question, because I literally have no space on the screen anymore to do that work, but that's okay. I'll figure it out. So let's do that. 245. I'm going to go with standard algorithm today. So this might be a new thing for you to watch. I know we've been doing area models and partial products, but I'm going to go standard algorithm. I'm going to do it. So maybe see if this makes some sense to you. Remember, standard algorithm is just a shortcut of partial products. So you do have to really understand your partial products to do this. But what I'm going to do to multiply here is I'm going to start in my ones place, and I'm going to say, hey, what's 4 times 5? Well, that gets me 20. Now, instead of writing 20 like this, where again, my 2 is in the tens place, which is true, I'm going to go ahead and put that 0 here, and I'm going to carry the 2 up to the tens place. Now, with standard algorithm, what we're doing is we're ignoring rules. That's why it's a shortcut. You ignore the rules when you take a shortcut. And so I'm going to come back here to my ones, and I'm going to say 4 times 4. Now, in partial products, we understand that's 4 times 40. But here, I'm just going to treat it as 4 times 4. And then I'm going to add these 2 up here. So 4 times 4 is 16 plus 2 more is 18. So I'm going to write my 8 here. I'm going to carry my 1 over to hundreds place. Then again, I'm going to go 4 times 2. Yeah, we know that's 200, right? But again, I'm taking a shortcut. I'm just going to say 4 times 2. I'm going to add this 1 right here. That gets me 9. Now we move over to our tens place. But again, instead of calling this 30, I'm just going to call it 3. I'm going to say 3 times 5. Well, that's 15. But because I'm in the tens place, I write my 5 for my 15 there. I carry my 1 up here. I don't need these. I used them. I'm going to say 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1 more is 13. And then 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 more is 7. And then I can just add these parts up, which is getting in the way of the equation. So I'm going to write this over here. So I have 980 kind of. And then actually I have 7,350. Not N50, just 50, sorry. Right, so then that's a 0. That's a 13. That's a 13. That's an 8. So there's my solution, right? That's the solution. That's the work. That's the S of the mesla. That's my work. I just did it. You see it. But now I need to do that very last part, which is my labeled answer. So I'm going to rewrite this solution with a label next to it, which my variable tells me what that label will be. It's going to be shoes. So let's come over here. I'm going to write it over here. 8,330 pairs of shoes. So there you have it. The Columbus factory, and I'm going to make sure this answer is very clear. It makes over 8,000 pairs of shoes a day. Take that, Erie Shoe Factory, with your 245 pairs. Okay, so that's a word problem with shoes. Let's see what's next. And again, remembering we're going to practice our 4 bits, our model, our equation, show work, then label and answer. So let's see what they have next. Oh, it's Martin and Katrina. Yay. Let's see what Martin and Katrina are up to. It says that Martin ran 108 miles last year. That's very impressive. I think I ran maybe half a mile all of last year. But Katrina, she actually ran 13 times as many miles as Martin. How many miles did Katrina run? So there's our question. All right, so let's go to our 4 things. We're gonna have a model. Write that up here. We're going to have an equation. We are going to have a solution or show our work. And then we're going to have a labeled answer. Labeled answer. Oh man, sorry. I'm struggling with the pen writing today. That is some hard to read words. That says labeled answer. That's the second time I actually have to promise you that's what it says, as opposed to you being able to read it. All right, model time. So again, total. The total we're looking for is how many miles did Katrina run. We actually don't know that. So I'm actually going to put M for miles. I have no idea. But I do know in order to get there, I'm going to have to take Martin's miles, which is 108, and I'm going to multiply them by 13 because Katrina ran 13 times as many miles. So there's a cool key right there. That word times is in there. So I know I'm multiplying. Cool. Model's done. Notice I didn't have to do any math. I've done no math. In fact, I'm going to do the equation, and I still will be at a point where I've done no math. And my equation is just the math I'm going to do. 108 times 13 equals M for miles. Cool. So that works. Now, from here, let's see. Model equation. we're going to go to the solution. So now this is where they do the math. Now, if you remember a few days ago, we talked about multiplying across zeros. So this is one of those problems that actually has a zero in it where I'll have to multiply across. So 108 times 13. I have better space here. I'm going to go with partial products. Yeah, let's go with partial products this time. So partial products, right? All the different techniques. We're going to start here. We're going to say 3, and I'm going to write it over here. I'm going to multiply it by that 8, because that's the 8 in the ones place. And then I'm going to take my 3, and I'm going to multiply it by 0, which that works. Actually, you know what? I don't even have to put that in there. That's what we talked about in the video. And then I'm going to take my 3, and I'm going to multiply it by the 100. And this time I am writing 100. Now we move to our tens place. So this 1 right here is actually a 10 because it's in the tens place. So 10 times 8, 10 times 0, don't need that, and 10 times 100, which would be this one right here, right? Okay, cool. Now let's do our parts. That's what's great about partial product. You do our parts. This equals 24. This equals 300. This is 80. And this is 1,000. Oop, that 1 is in the wrong place. Here we go. 1. Great. Now all I gotta do is add these up, and we're gonna see how many. Wait, wow, so she ran 1,000. Wow, Katrina, she gets out there, she runs. There's a 10 and a 4 and a 1. So my solution is 1,404. That's the solution. Got it. Check. But now I need a labeled answer. So again, I'm gonna write right over here. Katrina runs 1,000, or ran, I should say. I guess it's past tense. Miles last year. That's crazy, Katrina. Nice running. 1,404 miles. Whew. She must be great at the pacer test. All right, so that is yet another rendition of the fun word problem with miles. So we've talked about shoes. We've talked about running. Oh, it's kind of like a theme. You need shoes to go running. Let's see our final question. If you need be, pause this one and like solve it. Remember the 4 pieces. Remember to model. Remember to have an equation. Remember to have a solution. Remember to label your answer separately than your solution. Don't just slap a word next to all your work. It doesn't work that way. I'm not into that. All right, so let's see what we got going on. What do we have? Shoes and running. I predict our next story is going to be about drinking water because you're thirsty from running. No, it's about photos. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got going on. We got Kevin's family, and they took 239 photos on a summer vacation. But Marco, their family took more. There's always a battle for who took the most pictures. Marco's family took 12 times as many photos as Kevin's families did. So, boy, let's find out how many photos Marco's family take. Wouldn't that be, wait, took. This would be took. Come on, grammar. Who wrote this thing? How many photos did Marco's family? No, take. That's right. Never mind. They're right. Oh my gosh. Ignore me. I tried to be all smart and I was wrong. Never mind. How many did they take? That's a real question. All right, let's get back to this math stuff. What am I trying to do? Grammar. Step 1, model. We need to know how many photos Marco's family took. We don't know that, but we do know the parts that will help us get there. It will be Kevin's family's photos, which is 239 photos, times the 12, because it's 12 times as many photos that Marco's family took. Now, I'm going to write that equation. So 239 times 12. Again, notice I've done 0 math. I just did 2 parts. I drew a model and I made an equation, and I haven't even done the math yet. But now I get to do the math. So here we go. So 239 times 12. Let's see. We did partial products. We did standard algorithm. Let's do this in an area model. So the first thing I'm going to do, and that's a lot like partial products, is I expand my numbers out. Get them into that expanded form. Okay. Let's treat these as my rows. And we'll treat these as the columns. So let's see, I need some space here. So as I draw my array out, I'm going to need 1, 2, 3 rows. and then 1, 2 columns. So we have, let's see what we got here. We have a row called 200, a row called 30, and a row called 9. And then we have a column called 10 and a column called 2. So now I'm just multiplying to get to each of these parts of my array. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. 3 times 1 is 3. And then I have 2 zeros. 1, 2, and then 3 times 2 is going to get me 6, and I'm putting in 1 more 0. Now we're going to go back to this column here. We have 9 times 10. It's going to get me 90, and 9 times 2, that's going to get me 18. So those are my parts, like partial products, but I'm putting them into this array to make more sense of that. And from here, I'm going to add my parts together. Again, what I'm doing here is I'm doing the work, right? I'm doing the solution part of this. So we're going to go 2000. Dang, they took a lot of photos. 400, 300. Marco's family is on photo patrol. And then 90 and 18. Oh no, that's going to get in the way of my equation. Hold on. I got to erase my equation and move it over. Beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, beep. All right. And then let's come over here. And what was it? The equation was 239 times 12 equals P. That's what we're finding, P for photos. All right, add this up. 8, 16, 7, 8, 2. So there's the solution. Now I need a labeled answer. Gosh, where are we going to put that? Let's put it over here. And that labeled answer is that Marco's family took 2,868 photos. And then I'm going to make this very clear that this is the answer I want someone to see. Answer. Okay, so there you have it. Word problems, story problems. Remember, like, you know the math. You've done the math. You're great at doing the math. I love the math that you're doing. But remember our 4 elements that we put to it. 1, we create a model. 2, I'm going to put this on another page. 1, we create a model. And again, that model can be as simple as part, whole. It can be. That's totally fine, right? Part, whole, or total, whatever word you want. You can do it that way. It works for me. I'm good with that. And then we have an equation. Remember, equation is going to be like a number, let's say 35, an operation, in this case, multiplication, a second number, and then the variable, the thing we don't know. That's the equation. There's no math. There's no answer in it. You don't have to do math. Just show me the math you're going to do and what you're looking for. And then we need our solution. And again, that is just the number itself when you do the math. I should have picked numbers I could have done in my head. We'll estimate. Cool. Right? That would be the solution. And then you have a labeled answer. Labeled answer. And this story problem I just did was about donuts. So 800 donuts. Right? That's the label. That's the label. That's the label. Don't forget that. Y'all keep asking, what's the label? That's the label. All right, that's it. I'm done. Good luck. Get into your Savas, whatever you want to call it. And check out your practice buddy. Finish up those problems, then get to your quick check. Thanks for watching. Keep up the great work, and happy Wednesday. It'll be Wednesday when you watch this. Ooh, recording in the past, but watching in the future.